Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks with another Sylenth tutorial for sylenthtutorials.com. First, if you like these videos that we're putting out, please sign up to this YouTube channel at youtube.com/ADSR Tuts. That's TUTS. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can breathe new life into outdated presets for Sylenth. One of the cool, I wouldn't say it's a feature, but one of the cool things about Sylenth now is that there are so many preset packs out for it. So it's really an endless supply of potential creative sparks. But now it's getting to the point where you might have some sound sets that are kind of getting dated or long in the tooth. You might have purchased them a year or 2 years ago, and you may not want to pony up and download some more. So there are some cool tips and tricks to kind of make those sounds a little bit more modern, edgy, and just kind of flow with where music is going in general right now. So I have a progression here that I whipped up that I'm going to show you real quick. And the main sound that we're going to be focusing on is this blue track here at the very top. And you'll see that I have a bass sound that's sidechained, a piano pluck, and some bass kick drums and all that. All right, so it's pretty generic and basic, but it'll get us through this tutorial. So this lead here, this top Sylenth lead, it's not a bad sounding lead by any means, but it's one of those presets that I found that just sound dated. So we're going to make it cooler. So if I start playing some chords with it here. So it's not a bad sounding lead, but it is a saw style lead that we've all heard a million times, especially in EDM. So let's find some ways to make this guy more interesting. There are two things I think you need to be aware of when you are trying to do this in Sylenth, or any synth for that matter. And they are, first, how are you going to play the sound? If you already know that, this becomes a little bit easier, because I could do 10 things in the next minute that would make this sound bigger, cooler, wider, but it may not fit in a production, so it could all be for naught. So I already have my progression played. I just played it with the sound. I already know what I'm doing, so I have a good idea of what I want to do to the sound. I know because this lead I'm playing right now is the same thing, the exact same thing actually, the first 3 bars. Like if you listen to the loop on these 3 bars, the notes that I'm playing are all the same. The only difference is right here, let me zoom in, is right here, I break up this note and I play it 3 times short and staccato, where on the other passes, it's just held out. So let's listen to this. So that's the same stuff happening, and then this 4th bar is different. And that's just so I can get back into the first 3 bars and kind of have those, leading and passing tones to do that. So I need to find some things that will make this more interesting of a sound in context of how it's being played. So I know I'm going to want to add some cool things on this note right here and on this note right here. And to do that, I'm going to just start actually strengthening the sound in general. So one cool thing you can do is you can do this pitch trick that I've showed you on plucks and some other things. What you do is you load up the pitch A and B, or pitch A of a sound, depending on how your sound's set up. This specific sound in Sylenth is both part A and B, so I'm going to use pitch A and B. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to boost the decay like up to 0.29, and then boost this rotary knob maybe up to about 0.48 and see what this does. So it's giving a little bit of that like laser sound, which with I have the LFO tool on this, I should mention, doing some pseudo sidechain compression. And so it helps to kind of have that little pitch attack on my decay of the sound. So that's nice. I'm going to roll with that. Let's play it with the whole progression. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the first LFO because I like modulating some destinations with these in Sylenth for more interesting sounds. So right now I'm going to pull up pitch A and B in my first LFO slot. So pitch A and B. And now for the rate, I'm going to do about 1/16. And then I'm just going to apply the gain to taste. And this little knob down here, the rotary knob, I have it set to 0.29. So it's very subtle, but it does have a pretty big effect on the overall sound. All right, let's go on to the second LFO. And in this, I'm going to load up, let's do cutoff A. And for the rate, I'm going to do, let's keep it on, let's do 1/16, see how that works for now. Keep it the same as our first LFO. I'm gonna crank this cutoff up. Okay, now I'm not gonna leave the sound like this, obviously. But what I wanna do is I want to add some modulation into these notes that I was talking about before to make it more interesting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna click this MIDI learn, and now I'm going to click on the gain knob, and now I'm going to move my mod wheel. And now my mod wheel will move this gain. So what I can now do is I can either through automation or by playing it live and manually, I can enter in some of this performance aspect to the sound. So what I'm gonna do to do this is I like doing it this way. Everyone has their own way of doing it, but in Logic, if you go project settings, recording, and make sure you're on join with selected regions. I don't like doing the whole cycling take. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to record a pass of the mod wheel that I just assigned to the gain of my LFO, and I'm going to put it on one of these notes as it happens. Okay, so I was a little bit off on the actual timing of it, but I can quickly actually edit this. And this is just quicker for me than drawing everything in manually. So I'm going to go to MIDI draw in Logic. If you guys are Logic users, I'm going to go to my mod wheel, which is modulation. And then here's what I just played, right? And so I can hold down Shift and highlight this and now drag it backwards onto that note I wanted. Okay, cool. So now that that's actually recorded, I can go back into Sylenth and see if I want to change the rate or the offset. Now, I'm going to want to mess with the offset on this to make it more subtle. Okay, so it's starting to come to life. And now make sure I'm going to move, I think the pitch bend by default in Sylenth will be set to 2 or 3, I think 3. But I'm going to move the bend range up to 12, so there's more of a noticeable effect. And now let's listen to what that does. Okay, so I'm going to now apply that to this third note that is the same. So this one over here. So I'm going to start recording. All right, so that is now done. So now we have 2 instances where we've used Sylenth and just some of the controls in the modulation and even just the pitch bend to make this sound much more interesting. So let's listen to it now. Pretty much sums up this tutorial. If you go back to the very beginning and listen to the sound that we played about a minute into the tutorial, you're going to hear the difference between the two. And all I did was add one modulation envelope source, which was the pitch A and B. I added 2 sources to the LFOs, so there's 1 for each LFO. And then I started to modulate a little with my mod wheel and the pitch bend, and it's that easy. So it went from a very boring, typical saw type sound to something that's a little bit more interesting and a little bit more current. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't checked out sylenthtutorials.com, head on over there. Tons of cool things Sylenth related. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.